عصرت ثيلوخ وتأصور كالدايا بشطلوخ إذوخ وبعوند مريا بخلب ببلخوتن وتوطد عم كالدايا تاودريثا بلبوخن. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Jawad. We appreciate it. Now, officially, we'll start the meeting. I thank you on behalf of the Chaldean League USA for your presence for this evening. It brings us a pleasure, and we're very grateful to have the best of the best from the Chaldean community, the cream of the crop, the elite people who comes together. Will be having the Chaldean League working together in our community in Michigan. I would like first, on behalf of everybody, to welcome Bishop Kassab, Bishop Francis Qallabat. Thank you, Sayyidina, for all what you have done to the Chaldean League so far, especially for recognition one of the classrooms at City of Warren to give us an office in there. We appreciate your dynamic work with us. God bless. Bishop Ibrahim, we thank you for your time, effort, energy, especially when to San Diego. We established Chaldean League in there. You show us the way, and God bless. And thank you very much. I'd like to introduce you the Chaldean League. I am speaking on behalf of the Chaldean League. My name is Mudaffar David Ma'man al-Qashamroon, Chaldean League USA. I'm the president. And we have a board member, Mrs. Amanda Al-Katib, Mr. Junior Jawad, Mr. Aidan Qallabat, our chairman, representative of the global organization, Mr. Jamal Qallabat. And we have the founders and the steering committees on the side. We have Michigan League. Hopefully, in a few weeks, we'll be having complete establishment of Michigan. We have already established San Diego. We're looking forward in a few more weeks to establish Chicago, Illinois, Phoenix, Arizona. Again, thank you for your presence. God bless. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to share a few facts with you prior to we start to tell you who we are, why we had asked you to come in this evening, what we have in mind, what's our mission, what's our goal. I'd like to share some facts with you. Ladies and gentlemen, if you know the fact that our people who live as a Chaldean people live outside of Iraq, there are 3 times more than the Chaldean people living in Iraq. This is a fact. It's a fact, ladies and gentlemen, that the Chaldean people right now living in 16 different countries. Ladies and gentlemen, it's a fact that it's an average Chaldean family of 5 may live in 3 different countries. Ladies and gentlemen, it's a fact that the new wave of the settlers coming at least to the United States, their lack of education, their lack of experience, and even their lack of passion to work. Ladies and gentlemen, if we'll take those facts to the highest level of the United Nations, they may call it the crime of the century. It's a need right now. We feel, at least at the Chaldean League, that there is an enormous effort needed to have one voice, one effort, one energy for the Chaldean community. This is the mission. That's why we ask you to come in. We have quite a few presentations from our bishops and Mr. Aidan Qallabat. And the closing remark will be from Mr. Qallabat, Jamal Qallabat. And before we do that, I'd like to thank our students, Representative Kassab from Toronto, Canada. I'd like to recognize and thank Sian, Shenandoah Country Club, for offering a place for us to meet at Shenandoah Country Club. Thank you very much. We appreciate your effort. And I'd like to thank the Chaldean Foundation. They offer us their library and their conference room at any time. We could come in and meet at their place. I thank you. I'd like to start with Bishop Ibrahim to give us his remark. Bishop.
Thank you, Mudaffar. سيدنا مار فرانسيس، مار جبرائيل، أخوات وخطوات عزيزة. حقيقة قم كل من ديك شكرك روح كبيرا بكل اللبن، يعني مو بس أنا كلا خاصة الصورة كلايا هدام الصورة كلايا شكل كلوخن يثيثوخن آخوخن ما خليه وتتيوي خوش ريزلاتري هذا كل شخلية أكيد كده خمنا التخمندي تدياول تعمدية كلايا إذا بياول خناوة قصة إذا بياول كبيرة الموجب ما لها كاول عون تد مقادم أو مديت كده بس كل خا منن إكديل كل كلايا بعلمه بتدياول خمندي تعمدية كلايا وأثمندي إلى طاوة دخل هاو طاوة ما تاو قصة نجمع أخلا كل أن من دانه إيجا بيشوخ قوي بيشوخ محيدة بيشوخ خيلانة برسوخ شمن كردايا وتنطرخ يثوثن هويتن وتنطرخ شمن ولشانا يعني الصورة كردايا ليل تداول شراكة أما تشناشا كل يكي بخلا أخواتن وخطواتن دغدم يقرخ لا كركم يقريلا تغدد إقارة الشمديا إقارة الشمدية بس أني هم قركاوي لا إقارة الشمن يعني الأكبر زال خادر قل خنا فلخشوت أبدا أنه الصورة كالداية رابطة الكلدانية إلى درقل أيخا أبدا ليلة إلى مجرد بيثا كالداية هاو خا هاو قوية هاو محيدة أثمن دي إلى غايته من هذا طلبوا منه كل خا تنمزد بعد خدمته تنمزد هوالد اتدي البوالة تعمدية كالداية وتدهاول شهارة دي لكالداية تخدميري إمد إقارة تكلي أنا خن شمانة إيما شمت كيبا دك عاجب لا تدهوا بقاوي التاني إقارة طلي بس قرك هم أني هاويلا إقارة تشمديا كالداية كل أخو كدوتم الببراية بقاو العراق كل أخو كدوتم الببراية بقاو سوريا وكلنا كدوخ مازي البار بقاو مدنحة بالشرق كلنا كدوخ لين حاجة تدياوخ تصريحات ولا شمدي بس قصة ما تاول مرجوخ أمود بقى لها أنه تدلبار هذا تدلخروا بش كبيرة ولمبر بز عمديا الدكان خن كبيرة ما قتاو جميع الأغلال إلى بشتو بس كدخ منا إن بأمريكا إن بأوروبا إن بعراق إن بأستراليا إن بكندا كدخ منا الدكتة لخ ليه بتشاق الله كدخ منا الدكتة بقاو دث قشمة كالذايا بقاو دث إيتا عمة كالذايا أمثى كالذيتا وكيدو خنه عمديا كالذايا إيد كبيرة من دان ديلا بقراشة ديلا بربوزة ديلا ببراشة خامن خا فكيبوخ نيشان قمايا ويوا أنه الصورة كالذايا داصيرا كلا بغداد الصورة كالذايا أنه تدآصر عم كالذايا بغداد لا دنقل خنة لا بس تدرأشوخ ديوخ خبيثة خعايلة زو مثلا بيثة إيمن بابا ويمه ويال كل كعيني خاخا بلخي خامت خنة كاو بيثة قوية كاو بيثة طاوة لقزة دي مجومن دي لكن يعني إذا حاجة تد أمر بإنجليزي من دي ها؟
بإنجليزي يا جماعة سيدنا
خاصة إنجليزي أوكي هاي كم ممري قريلة بإنجليزي بقارنة بإنجليزي Our patriarch Marluis Saku recognized that this threat. In response, he organized a conference in Erbil which took place between 1st and 3rd July 2015. There was 8 Chaldean bishops, including myself, and 60 prominent figures of our Chaldean communities from around the world, gathered at the request of the Patriarch to establish an organization whose sole purpose was to unify and defend the rights of the Chaldean people around the world. There was no personal invitation at all from anyone. The invitation was public to everybody who wants to attend. The Patriarchate was offering hospitality, but not the expense of the travel, of the trip. So everyone was invited. Those 60 people, or maybe less a little bit, they attended. The attendees of this conference deliberated for 3 days to establish the bylaws, structure, and the leaders of the Chaldean League, Arabic and Chaldean names, to build the organization globally. Mr. Jamal Qallabat was elected as the Vice President of the Global Executive Board and was chosen to be the head of the Chaldean League in the USA. The Chaldean League is a non-governmental, non-ecclesiastical, non-profit global organization with a mission to connect all Chaldean people globally, to unite all Chaldean people globally. I said not ecclesiastical. ليلة الصورة كالذايا ليل إيتانايا، يعني ليلة إيتا بس ليل معناتها بزال درق الإيتا. لا يتخبن دبقاوت بايلوز كامل أنه الصورة كالذايا لدبار الزال درق الإيتا. مثلا خمث لا مثلا إيتا لقب مطروح إجهاق أبورشن، فالصورة كالذايا لدبار الزال دامر لا أنا كم إذن بختأت حقا تد مطرحة آيل بس علاقة الصورة كالذايا أمد إيتا يلباند إيتا بس ليه أوصياء الصورة كالذايا يمكن ده التنبش كبيرة خاوية بقول قيمة دم هم قاشي ومطرانك محكاه ليه الحمد لله هم ولا قاش ليه هم قاش ليه إذ مطرانة تمام يوقعت ولا مطرانة فأي معناتها نون إكليزياستيكال يعني ليلة إيتانيتا ليلة أخويد البديشوع ليلة أخويد الصورة لا إلى الصورة كالذايا. كبخوة حقيقة وخسنيق الهادخ مندي من زمان من زونة يريخة بشتوما هاوخو برد آخو تامو كزوالا المدايب زوالا المداوة دغديلا مثلا أحزاب سياسية قب بوليتيقاي دي لا بقاود عراق إمن سوراي كالداي لتولا قبة لتولا حزب فمجبور بزوالا أمد موفمنت أسرين موفمنت أو خن لا فالصورة كالدايا يلطاو مدافع الزفق الحقوق عمديا كالدايا لازم أمره كلا التنقارة ديوخ Chaldeans. We are Chaldean and the proud of it. It is time to educate the world who are the Chaldeans, who are the people Chaldean, and where we exist. ولازم يعني إلى عدانا إلى زونا خاصة رأشوخ أخني دتن هويتن التن إيثوثن التن قوميتن التن شمن التن لشانا وآني قرق حامخلا إن لم حامخلا آني بزالا كلن بشمخ جنوه بالسنتا ده. It is my pleasure to present to you our Honorable Bishop, Mar Francis Qallabat.
Thank you, Sayyidina. It is always an honor to follow such a beautiful man, such a wonderful man, such an honorable man, and also such a man that worked so much towards our Chaldean people and our Chaldean name in the name of faith. So thank you, Sayyidina. Thank you for everything that you have done and continue to do. He's retired, but he's not retired. So I'd like to also thank everybody for coming here. Such wonderful faces, of course. Sayyidina Ibrahim, thank you. Sayyidina Gberial, thank you for your presence. Also, it is a wonderful to always have you in the house. This wonderful and beautiful panel that we've met a few times. Hardworking, wonderful, beautiful job as always. It's so wonderful to see so many beautiful faces. Male, female, young, old, of all kinds, of all professions, from schools to as well as very much professional, as well as very much active in the church. Thank you. Thank you for taking this time. Thank you for taking this step. This is a very important point in our lives. So thank you for being present here. It is, as it was said, this is a momentous occasion. This is a time for us to stand up. As Sayyidina Ibrahim was saying, this is the time for us to stand up and to take our rights, to be able to present our name, because we have in history, as well as today, we make history. We don't just look back and look at our forefathers, what they have done, but we are the ones who are going to stand up and take our steps just like our forefathers. We don't just come in and say, oh, my grandfather did this, or my great-grandfather did. I am doing. And as we continue to move forward, we continue to build. So it becomes an important thing for us to understand, what is the Chaldean League? Who are we? What is our idea? What is, and how does this Chaldean League service? And who do they service? These are very important questions. On your invitations, you may have noticed the tagline of the League. It's the international voice of the unified Chaldean people. This is important for us to look back on. You may also have noticed in the mission statement, Chaldean League was established to unify, strengthen, promote, respect, organize, and defend the rights of the Chaldean people globally. As you can see, as well as here. Okay, what in the world does this mean? What is this all about? You see, we can talk about a lot of theories, but it's important for us to understand, then move forward on how to implement. So let's explore this a little bit further. First, the international voice of the unified Chaldean people. It's broken down to two parts: international voice and unified Chaldean people. International voice sounds pretty self-explanatory, and basically it is. We are speaking on behalf of all Chaldeans around the world. And because of our circumstances of where we come from, and because of where we have ended up, we are in desperate need to have one voice to be able to speak on behalf of all Chaldeans. But there's a deeper message in there that I personally believe deserves our attention. International means between nations, and there's a voice between nations. So what we're saying is that the Chaldean League will be a conduit of communication between countries. So let's look at the phrase unified Chaldean people. What are we doing is recognizing that all Chaldean people around the world belong to one community. We, Chaldeans, Sweden, Detroit, California, and Australia, in Canada, around the world, are one people. So let's look at this phrase, unified Chaldean people. So what we're doing is recognizing that all Chaldean people around the world belong to one community, that one global organization is going to represent all of this, and that will be the Chaldean League. Representing Chaldeans around the world, providing conduit of communication, so that our communities around the world will be able to communicate, coordinate, collaborate. That's extremely, extremely important. These are powerful pieces of a infrastructure to build. It's going to be a challenge, but Chaldeans have been able to stand up to every challenge. Let's explore the mission statement. Specifically, each objective of the mission statement individually and then collectively. Individually, here's the mission statement. Unify, strengthen, promote, respect, organize, defend. Okay, unify. Absolutely necessary. Gives us credibility when we are unified in one cause, a common cause. Whether it's the situation in Iraq or the individual situations that are happening around the world. Strengthen the rights of the people. We have strengthened numbers. So unity will strengthen our cause. When your cause has strength, it can't be ignored. And we are tired of being ignored. Promote the rights of the Chaldean people. We need to make our rights as Chaldeans top priority in our local, regional, national, international communities. Best way to promote priority of our rights is to unify and strengthen first. Respect the rights of the Chaldean people. And there's a time that we need to respect those rights. It is now. Twofold objective. One, we need to respect the rights of our people. Two, command respect of our rights from others, especially when we live in foreign places or places where we fall under hostility. We gain the respect of others by achieving the three previous goals: unify, strengthen, promote. So, organizing the rights of the Chaldean people. It's an organized front. It's the most effective as achieving results. Before we can defend, we must organize all of our objectives. Because if we have different organizations doing different things apart from each other, it doesn't show unity. It just shows different parts of the one body doing things individually. Defending the rights of the Chaldean people. Once we've achieved our previous objectives, we can now move forward, defend our rights. Chaldean League is the method by which we can achieve all, not some, not a few, all of our objectives. See that this organization is set up to serve our Chaldean people, again, all around the world. Everything that Bishop Ibrahim and myself have said really sounds good in theory. And if there's anything that we know how to talk, but it's time to walk. That's what we're all about. How does the Chaldean League plan on accomplishing these monumental tasks? I'd like to invite the next speaker, Aiden Calabat, to give us details on how to put the rubber on the road. How now step up and accomplish this. I'd like to also recognize that Aiden is part of the U.S. Administrative Board of the Chaldean League to present this to you. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you Aiden.
Thank you, Sayyidina Francis. And thank you to all of our wonderful bishops here today. We're very grateful that you could be here to pray with us, to introduce the Chaldean League, give us a brief overview of what we're all about. We are truly blessed to have your service in our community. I'd also like to recognize a few other people in the crowd. I'd like to represent one of our state representatives here today, Kassab. Thank you for being here today. So, I want to touch on something that Sayyidina Francis said, and that was that the Chaldean League is a conduit for communications between countries. What's a conduit? Can anybody tell me what a conduit is in a few short words? Anybody in the crowd? Nobody wants to volunteer? Connection, yes. That's pretty much what it is. A conduit is a very technical term that really is just a pipe. It's a pipe that we install in the ground. It's usually made out of PVC. Sometimes we even encase it in concrete to protect it. And basically we run our communications, our infrastructures through conduits. These get installed in the ground and they remain in the ground for our use at any time. We can come back and we can pull wires through it. We can remove wires. We can change what's inside of them. We can change directions, we can do a lot of things, but the point is that the infrastructure is established for us to use. It remains there. So the Chaldean League is the conduit, is the pipe, the infrastructure through which our communication, correspondence, cooperation, and our services can move through freely and unobstructed. So I think this is a very important idea to understand as we move forward. I briefly want to go over our organizational structure. You have this handout in your overview. I think it's the last page of your overview, but basically we're just trying to represent a few things. That we are starting with a global community, the global executive board. We have representatives from all the different nations that Chaldeans reside, as well as the different regions within Iraq. Then we have, moving down to the U.S. National Board, we have our administrative board, and then we have our operational offices in Chicago, Illinois, Detroit, Michigan, Phoenix, Arizona, and San Diego, California. We also have 12 standing committees or subcommittees, and they are also listed in your handout material. You can see them up here. The most important thing to understand is that these committees are not final and set in stone, and that really each branch of the Chaldean League will customize their committees based on the needs of their community. So Michigan has specific needs, and we will establish and activate the committees that address and promote those needs. Our communities in Australia may have different needs. They may not activate some committees that we do, and activate others that we don't here in Michigan. So it's really a a la carte service that you provide your community based on the needs of your community. They can be changed, added, activated, deactivated at any time. So all of this sounds great in theory, and the structure looks great and organized. We've got a list of committees that cover a broad range of services, but how are we actually going to do that? What does it look like? What does the work that we're doing actually look like? So I want to go through a couple quick examples for you. The first example is in regards to political action and how our community appeals to our governments, both locally and nationally. Currently, our political action as a community is at the whim of individuals. For example, if there is a gaudy development going up in your neighborhood, or a bill submitted to the House of Representatives, or even a piece of legislature that exists in our home country of Iraq that affects religious freedom of our Iraqi youth, our general public doesn't really understand the concepts and the mechanisms of filing a formal complaint to the Planning Commission, or of presenting your complaint before city council meetings, circulating petitions to gain signatures, and submitting letters to senators. So what do? In times like these, our general public really turns to prominent individuals within the Chaldean community. And these prominent individuals kind of take it upon themselves to act. It should not be the responsibility of private individuals. The Chaldean League will bear that responsibility of receiving the concerns of the public and addressing them to our governmental leaders. Now, when we achieve that, our governments will look at our Chaldean people and recognize us as organized, as unified. Not just a bunch of people in a room screaming, I have this and I need that. This is something that we have not done so far, and it is something that our Jewish cousins have done extremely effectively. And look at them, they run the world. And it's because of this. It's because they are unified in their efforts. When our governments hear about Jewish issues or Israeli issues and other organizations do similar things, they hear it from one face. When they want to reach out to those communities, they reach out to unified bodies, not prominent individuals. That's what the Chaldean League is going to establish. And that's an example of how we will operate and serve our community. So another example I want to give you is actually a very unique concept, and it's that of an embassy. The Chaldean League is going to exist in every community around the world that Chaldeans reside in. So, in fact, the Chaldean League will act as an embassy to our people. If you're traveling around the world and visiting places where Chaldeans reside, you will have a Chaldean League office that you can visit. They will receive you. They will introduce you to the community, take you around, show you what the community is doing. They will be there to attend to you and make sure that when we travel as Chaldeans, we have a place we can go that makes us feel welcome and at home all around the world. So this is a model that will solidify ourselves as a globalized community, which is what we are. We said it. We have Chaldeans living in 16 different countries. That's globalized. So this model will establish that and really unite us in that effort as well. So how do we achieve the creation of an organization that will accomplish all these goals? Well, we at the Chaldean League in the USA, we've set ourselves some short-term goals that we want to go over and just introduce to you. The first of which is marketing, media, and membership. This is the lifeblood of our organization. This is really what's going to fuel our organization. I don't think it needs any further explanation. The second one is to address the issue in Iraq of religious freedom, and specifically religious freedom in our youth. This is something that we're going to need to engage our community and our community leaders and our organizations at doing, at collecting ourselves, organizing ourselves, unifying ourselves, and defending our rights back home as a unified global community. And finally, we'd like to establish our subcommittees, the ones that we presented in the previous slide and you have in your handouts as well. So in order to do that, we want to also engage our organizations and our community leaders, because quite frankly, a lot of those services are being conducted by our organizations. So we want to hold roundtable discussions to establish these committees, to figure out who is best to serve on these committees and to act in these committees. So we've also have an ongoing action plan of our long-term goals. And really, it's to help us serve our community locally, nationally, globally, and that begins here in Michigan. Here in Michigan, we have a lot of services that we offer. And a lot of you in this room offer most of those services. So one thing we want to do is we want to build upon those. We want to improve them. But we're not just saying that we're going to come into your organization, tell you what you're doing wrong, and tell you how you need to be better, and you need to do it like this, and you need to do it like that. No, that's not what we're talking about. What we mean is that the Chaldean League is going to assist in connecting our organizations, bringing them together so that they can learn from one another, so they can understand where some of us have succeeded and some of us have failed. So we're not reinventing the wheel every time we try to accomplish something. And ultimately, the goal is to create a comprehensive community service plan. On a national level, the Chaldean League will assist in establishing those comprehensive community services to areas around our nation that are lacking. So we have services here in Michigan that we're providing that are not being provided in San Diego or in Chicago or in Phoenix. So there's no reason why they should not be. And the Chaldean League is the conduit for communication, the infrastructure by which we can communicate from Michigan to these other locations, will help to expand the services that we're providing here to our communities there. Likewise, we'll do this on a global level as well. There's no reason why our communities in Australia or in Canada or anywhere around the world cannot benefit from the services that the Chaldeans here in Michigan already benefit from. So now we arrive at the moment that you've all been waiting for. How does the Chaldean League affect my organization? What do you want from me? The answer to that is quite simple. The Chaldean League seeks to engage our existing Chaldean organizations, establishing relationships based on trust, respect, and collaboration. The number one misconception that I hear of the Chaldean League is that it's going to try and do things that our other organizations are already doing. And I've heard several people ask questions like, what do we need the Chaldean League for? We have so many organizations all of you in this room here that are already doing so many things, what's the point? Why do you need another organization? And as cynical as that sounds, there's actually some validity to that, to these questions. And the validity is that here in Michigan, our organizations have accomplished a great deal of things. They've helped our community grow in many different ways. But I stress, that is here in Michigan. This is a global organization, and that, in and of itself, becomes the very basis for the argument why an organization like this is absolutely necessary. Because our organizations here in Michigan have established a wonderful foundation. But any experienced builder is going to tell you that the foundation is only the first part of building a house. And Sayyidina Ibrahim said it, we want to build our Chaldean house. We want to expand upon what we've accomplished here in Michigan. We want to take that outreach first to the national level, our communities around our nation, and then globally. So it's been said several times that the Chaldean League will be a conduit for communication. The infrastructure that we hope to establish as the Chaldean League will create an integrated network to connect Chaldean communities with other communities, organizations with other organizations, and individuals to organizations and communities alike. The strategy is to use Michigan as a model, improve upon what we have here, and then expand that nationally and then globally. We want to make available the full suite of community services to all our Chaldean communities around the world. But we need your help. More accurately, we need your service and your experience. This is not something we can achieve without you. Understand that. You are needed here. You will provide the services and the expertise and the experience. The Chaldean League will provide the infrastructure, the conduit, to take your experience, your services that we're providing, and expand them, travel, nationally, then globally. So let's look at what an example of this looks like, and let's take a look at the flight of our Chaldean people right now. I think it's a great example. So when we're talking about refugees and flight of people, there's three classifications that we distinguish. The first one are people who have remained in that country, remained in Iraq, are displaced. They ultimately have fled their homes, cities, and villages, but they've reestablished themselves somewhere else in Iraq, and for all intents and purposes of this discussion, they're going to remain there. That's their final resettlement area. These are displaced peoples. Secondly, we come to refugees. And refugees are people that are in transition, that have fled the country, fled Iraq, but have not made it to their final destination of resettlement. And then finally, we have the resettled people that have established themselves, that have arrived at their final destination. Now they're beginning to rebuild their lives. So here in Michigan, we actually have several organizations that are providing services to all three of these. But are we duplicating any of these services? Are all three of these services being provided the same services, these three classifications? Is there one that is doing more than another? Realistically, we can't answer that question. Because for the most part, the organizations and the people that are servicing these communities are independent from one another. They're working on their own. So, likewise, there could be organizations that our Chaldean brothers and sisters in France, for example, have created to help these people out. Are we learning from them? Do we know what they're doing? Can we build upon it? Can we share our ideas with them so that we can all together service these people more effectively and more comprehensively? So the answer to all these questions resoundingly is yes. And the Chaldean League will do just that. It's to gather our organizations, host roundtable discussions so that we can learn from one another, we can put our heads together, and really target and address these issues comprehensively. Making sure that there aren't any holes or gaps. We haven't left anybody out. That the things that we're successful on, we're able to promote and do more of. And the areas that we failed, well, maybe we try something different, or don't continue to try that route because it didn't work. So this is the example of how we're going to accomplish it. This is how the league will operate right here. So far I've outlined a great deal of work that Chaldean League needs to accomplish. And it may seem as though we're creating too much work for ourselves. But it's important to understand that the Chaldean League is simply an instrument. And I'll stress, the Chaldean League is an instrument. And every instrument ever constructed, no matter how eloquently designed, is only as useful as its operator, the person who's holding it and using it. You here in this room, our organizations, our community leaders, our media, you are the operators of this instrument. It is designed for your use. It is designed for you. The Chaldean League desires only to elevate the status of our organizations and our communities. We will coordinate the collaboration of our wonderful organizations, represent our Chaldean people, and bring their voices to our community leaders, and ultimately form the infrastructure by which our global Chaldean community achieves recognition and ultimately greatness.
And will also be identified politically, humanitarianly, I don't know if I said it right, at least also educationally, and we'll take care of all of these things. Slowly, we're getting started. Then, once we go beyond the organizations, then we can get the other people. We need to represent everybody. Whether you are affluent, you're known, or you're a nobody, because everybody is a somebody. That will be done. It's going to be taken, as the members of the board mentioned, this year is a very pivotal year in trying to put all the structure into place so that we can have a place. Someone who comes in and says, okay, how do I get involved? Right now, how do I get involved? Okay, we're putting a structure. Once we have the structures, how do I get involved? This is what I like to do. I'm involved in politics. Great. I'm involved in education. Great. Now we got a SIFT where you can go exactly where you need to go. Then you can have, because I want to be a hand, I want to be a left foot. Well, this is all going to be one body, bringing in all the different parts, all the different members. That's our goal. It's going to be difficult in the beginning, like every other organization. But we have the focus, we have the goal, and we have the push. And we're gonna get it done. Period.
I appreciate all the questions, and if anything wasn't answered, please know that we will